cases in the last 7 months. Today's arrests and related searches arise out of the cooperative law enforcement work of the FBI, DEA, Hennepin County Sheriff, and the Minneapolis Police Department. FBI Special Agent in Charge Rick Ivanchik, DEA Assistant Special Agent in Charge Raphael Matei, Hennepin County Sheriff DeWanna Witt, and Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara are all here, and they can fill you in on some of the details. We'll begin with Special Agent in Charge Ivanchik.
Thank you, U.S. Attorney Rosen. Good afternoon. My name is Rick Ivanchik, and I am the interim special agent in charge of the FBI's Minneapolis field office. I want to begin by thanking the partners that we stand shoulder to shoulder with today to bring about this extraordinary result for the safety of our communities. Our partners at the Minneapolis Police Department, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department, and the Drug Enforcement Administration have been exceptional law enforcement partners to bring about this result. Of course, we are always so very well served and appreciative for our partners here at the U.S. Attorney's Office, led by the U.S. Attorney Dan Rosen. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned, we are very pleased today as a collective law enforcement community to announce and report the dismantlement and disruption of the family mob gang and criminal enterprise network operating throughout the metropolitan area here in Minneapolis. Since the 1990s, this gang has conspired to deliver deadly narcotics to our neighborhoods and ushered in violence to aid in their efforts to claim control over their so-called territory. This morning, prior to dawn, 8 SWAT teams dispersed across this region, along with the FBI teams, the Hennepin County Sheriff's teams, the Minneapolis Police Department teams, and the DEA. We ultimately executed 14 search warrants aimed to seize narcotics, guns, and other evidence of their criminal conduct. As the U.S. Attorney said, at the close of business today, we expect that 12 defendants, most with violent criminal histories, will have been taken into custody. Law enforcement operations continue at this hour, along with the DEA, Hennepin County, and Minneapolis PD, to advance this large-scale and wide-spanning law enforcement operation. This case began when agents and detectives from the FBI and the Minneapolis Police Department began investigating open-air drug markets in South Minneapolis. Soon those efforts were joined by an ongoing operation with Hennepin County and the DEA, and ultimately those efforts were joined that led to today's efforts that targeted fentanyl, crack cocaine, methamphetamine, and other controlled substance distribution. Since last year, and including the efforts this morning, so far our collective effort has seized 14 firearms, 6.5 kilograms of fentanyl, 2 kilograms of cocaine, nearly 800 grams of methamphetamine, nearly 200 grams of crack, 5 vehicles, and nearly $100,000 in cash. The distribution of illegal narcotics and the spread of violence in our communities will not be tolerated. Our communities should know that the FBI will continue to partner with exceptional agencies like the ones led by Chief O'Hara, Sheriff Will, ASAC Matei, and U.S. Attorney Rosen. Those partnerships will stand to send a very clear message to those who seek to fill the void created by the dismantlement of the family mob network. That message is this: the FBI will build bridges, foster partnerships, expend the talents of our workforce, and expend all resources at our disposal to deliver the same fate of those networks as the one met by family mob. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Rafi Matei, Assistant Special in Charge with the Drug Enforcement Administration. This morning, we supported the arrest operation for the family mob gang. This gang ruled by intimidation and violence, spreading poison throughout the Minneapolis community. Earlier today, Drug Enforcement Administration agents, shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters from Hennepin County Sheriff's, Minneapolis Police, and the FBI, effected these arrests. These investigators are among the best in the nation, and they're working tirelessly to remove the threats posed by drug traffickers and criminal offenders. The DEA remains committed to protecting Americans from synthetic opioids such as the deadly fentanyl and dangerous drugs like methamphetamine and cocaine. We are committed to protect Americans by taking those drugs off the streets. We are also preventing drug overdoses and poisonings, as U.S. Attorney Rosen mentioned. 3.5 million lethal doses were removed in this investigation. And we are also supporting the overall goal of saving lives and a fentanyl-free America. Thank you. Sheriff.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Dewana Witt. I'm the Sheriff of Hennepin County. Today we are here because of collaborative efforts of our local federal agencies combating violent crime here in Hennepin County. I want to emphasize the importance of working with local, state, and federal agencies on criminal investigations that impact our communities. At the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, our West Metro Drug Task Force is dedicated to dismantling the trafficking of illegal and deadly narcotics in our community every day. Their work is intelligence-led, and it delivers real results, such as what you've seen here today with these collaborative efforts. In 2025, our task force removed 221 pounds of methamphetamine, 40 pounds of cocaine, and 26 pounds of fentanyl from Hennepin County streets. I think it's important to talk about those things because what we're talking about today, we don't hear it enough about the impact that our law enforcement agencies are having in these communities. And where there are drugs, we also know that there's usually guns. In 2025, our teams were effective in confiscating 700 illegally possessed firearms, and a lot of those were connected with drugs. Last year, the task force launched 2 separate local investigations with several arrests of suspected traffickers seizing 11 pounds of fentanyl, over 6 pounds of cocaine, and 13 pounds of marijuana. Those cases grew quick, and we are very thankful, again, showing the importance of having these relationships because we could not have done it by ourselves. Working with the support of Emergency Services Unit in collaborations with the FBI, DEA, and Minneapolis Police Department, the operation has expanded. Additional suspects were identified, and together we disrupted criminal activities that is threatening the safety of our communities every single day. When I talk about partnerships, when I talk about our task force, I need to note that it is a collaboration with other law enforcement officials or agencies in Hennepin County, and I'm grateful for Plymouth Police Department, the U of M, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center Police Departments, New Hope, Hopkins, Minnetonka, Edina, Orono, Richfield Police Department, West Hennepin Public Safety, Eden Prairie Police Department, Medina, and Minnetrista. And it's important that I note that because it's not just here in Minneapolis. We know that we have this problem throughout the county, and that is why we stress the importance of working together. Drug trafficking is not isolated. It does fuel violence. It destabilizes family, and it exploits addiction and preys on those struggling the most. In short, it's massacring our communities. So this is why we need these type of collaborative efforts. So thank you to all of these agencies, and thank you all for the partnerships. We truly do appreciate it when it comes to working with combating these violent crimes that are plaguing our communities. It is crucial that we have the resources to continue to do the work of public safety. We all have a stake in keeping our communities safe. My office goes after the worst of the worst, and will continue to do that in the right way. Thank you. Chief O'Hara.
Thank you. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Rosen, for the opportunity to be here and give some perspective from the MPD of the significance of what has occurred today. On September 15th of last year, the Minneapolis Police Department responded to 2 mass shootings that occurred less than 12 hours apart along the East Lake Street corridor. In total that day, 10 people were injured by gunfire, 2 individuals lost their lives, and dozens of others had their lives permanently changed forever. In the immediate aftermath, police officers from the MPD's Gun Investigations Unit, who have deep knowledge of gang activity in our city, began working to identify those who were responsible for those shootings. Their efforts uncovered a connection to a group known as the Family Mob, which is involved in drug trafficking along the East Lake Street corridor. The MPD shared this intelligence with our federal partners at the FBI, and leading a joint investigation that included the Minneapolis Police Department, FBI, DEA, and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. The investigation expanded exponentially and culminated in today's coordinated operation. Search warrants were executed across Minneapolis, Bloomington, Brooklyn Park, Richfield, and St. Paul. 8 of those search warrants happening here in Minneapolis. And you've already heard some of the results from those warrants. This is a clear example of what dedicated, focused, precise police work can achieve. Our officers are committed to identifying and targeting those who are responsible for causing the most harm to our residents. Their knowledge of gang activity and their persistence led directly to this meaningful enforcement action. And it demonstrates the power of our partnerships when we are working together. So I'm incredibly grateful to all of federal law enforcement, the U.S. Attorney's Office, FBI, DEA, and our daily partners at the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office for their tireless work that is going to lead to real results for the people of this city and lives saved. So thank you.
If there's questions in connection with today's announced charges, we'll be happy to take a few.
Yeah, quick question. How large was this operation in terms of things you've seen?
We'll go.
I mean, is it like the largest operation that you all have investigated, did you say, in the area?
Yeah, sir. So there were hundreds of law enforcement officers. We're not only involved in the investigation of this matter since last year, but also in the execution today. We had been planning this operation for weeks at the FBI in coordination with the partners behind me. And today we had teams locally, the SWAT teams locally, from all the departments that stand behind me. Additionally, the FBI brought in 4 SWAT teams from around the country to assist. So this is hundreds of law enforcement officers. And a well-coordinated effort that, luckily today and thankfully today, everyone was safe, and we're very proud of that. But I would venture to say one of the largest law enforcement operations the city has seen.
Mr. Rosen, does your office have the bandwidth to prosecute these cases, considering there's been 2 recent criminal cases that have been dismissed, partly due to staffing issues and things like that?
Well, first of all, the premise of your question is wrong about the recent cases. But absolutely, our office has all of this bandwidth and more. Our office continues to grow. And if you're a criminal in the city of Minneapolis or in the state of Minnesota, I recommend that you don't commit crimes on the assumption that the U.S. Attorney's Office doesn't have enough lawyers. We've got enough to get you all.
What's the premise of the question? What's wrong about the premise of the question?
About cases being dismissed, Lou. And I've seen your reporting, and you're welcome to have a private discussion with me, and we can talk about those details more.
Why can't we talk about it here? One was dismissed just on Monday because there were missed deadlines. Do you have the capacity to prosecute these cases now that you're bringing new ones?
Yes.
U.S. Attorney, can you speak to how many attorneys quit and how many are left in the last couple of months?
Yes. First of all, I will give you numbers with great precision here. On the last day of my predecessor's term, of Andy Lugar's term, there were 64 assistant U.S. attorneys. I took office on the 10th of October. Between Andy's last day and my starting, we went from 64 down to 47. We now have 36 assistant U.S. attorneys.
How many in the criminal division does that include? I know you have civil.
I'm going to say 26. I could be off by a number in either direction, but I think 26 is a good number. And we're hiring, and understand, we're hiring at a good clip. We've got people who have accepted positions. We've got offers that are going out, and we're actually very gratified that we are getting extraordinarily high-quality applications from all over the country, people that want to come and join our effort here.
I just want to go back to the drug operation for a minute. How extensive was this in terms of these gang members? Were they getting product internationally? Is there a way to know where this was coming from?
I'm going to, again, Special Agent in Charge Ivanchik, I think.
So the arrests today, as part of this operation, were really confined to the metropolitan area here in Minneapolis. That part of the investigation remains ongoing, and frankly, a lot of the fruits of what we get today from our search warrants will go to inform that. But this investigation is very active, ongoing. There are literally operations that are going on at this hour in coordination with the agencies that those behind me represent. So we'll have more to report on that hopefully soon.
Any idea how many more arrests you may expect?
I won't comment on that at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Rosen, you've outlined some pretty good federal and local law enforcement cooperation here. Are there any prospects for cooperation in the investigations of the shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy?
So we're going to try to keep today's questions confined to the announcements that we have today. I don't have any comments to make in connection with those matters. Anything else?
One more question.
Yes.
Open air drug market. Lake Street's a very, very busy corridor. The public, I feel like, can be a little aloof to an open air drug market when they're on their ongoing basis. What should the public know? What should they look out for when it comes to the future? This is happening in our city.
The public should know. I'm sorry, and the question was in regard to open air drug activity along Lake Street. The public should know, as is evidenced by today's work, that there's a lot of investigative work happening at all of these different agencies. There has been significant progress made in some areas, and as we speak, there are additional cases being developed that I believe will impact not just open air drug activity, but open air drug activity that's connected specifically to violence. And these agencies, we are working together on that as we speak.
Can I add something to that, though, too? I think it's equally important, though, too, is not just the open air, but the amount of narcotics that's been sold using social media. And that's why it's important for us to have our analysts as well as working with our federal partners, because we know that that's also a common way that people are meeting with their victims. I'm going to say victims at this point, especially when we're talking about fentanyl. But I do think it's equally important for people to know that it's not just what people perceive as what was happening in the 80s with hand-to-hand sales. The internet, using social media, has become trickier, which pulls more resources from our law enforcement entities to find people dealing in that way.
You all have teams that are monitoring social media if something, the trade is being posted, etc.
Yes. All right. Oh, we'll take one more.
Sorry. With respect, we haven't had a chance to ask you questions about the very tumultuous recent weeks that Minnesotans have navigated. I realize you want to focus on the issue at hand, but I do think it's important to ask you, of all the incidents we saw in recent weeks, the many instances in which there were clashes between protesters and federal agents, instances of protesters being pepper sprayed at close range, people being dragged out of their cars, people being shoved, including elected officials, by federal agents. Did you find any of these incidents troubling enough to warrant investigating them as a civil rights violation? And why haven't we seen your office pursue protesters, including the people who protested at the church, so aggressively, while we've seen no action when it comes to the conduct of law enforcement officers?
Well, thanks, Ernesto. First of all, you will not have visibility right now into ongoing investigations that we haven't announced. You know, you've talked about the tumultuous weeks that have led up to this. My view, and you've asked about my own availability. My view on all of this is, first of all, here in our office, we're not policymakers. We are the people who represent the people we are the lawyers who represent the people who execute the policies. It's my own particular view in that's not a PR effort, that's a legal effort here in the courts. We got to keep our head down and focused on that cause. We're doing it effectively, and we're going to continue to do it. We've been doing it effectively, even though, as it's well reported, a bit shorthanded, and we're now expanding those numbers again. What I will tell you is, I think the real short answer to your question, Ernesto, is stay tuned. I think there will be things that people will learn in the coming weeks that will probably change the inputs that went into your question. I appreciate the question. It's a good and it's a fair question, but it's not one that I can illuminate at the moment.
But were you troubled personally as a top federal law enforcement official in the state by the conduct that we saw from some federal agents in recent weeks?
Well, again, it's not really my role to comment on my own personal feelings. I'm the lawyer for the federal government here, and we do our best job to represent the government in the best way that we can.
Speak to if you have enough resources and staffing to carry out fraud investigations in Minnesota right now.
Oh, we absolutely do. Our resources are greater than they were 2 months ago by a considerable margin, and the pace of prosecutions in fraud will increase at a considerable margin, and you'll see that roll out over the coming weeks and months.
Some U.S. attorneys left in recent months.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have left to mention that's it's been well reported that some U.S. attorneys have left in recent months.
But you still have adequate staffing to carry out the fraud.
We have more than adequate staffing to carry out the fraud. We have been reinforced in dramatic numbers by the Department of Justice and by other departments of the federal government. And fraud investigations are increasing in pace. Fraud prosecutions, you will see, are going to be dramatically increasing in pace. If you're committing fraud in the state of Minnesota, it's really not a good time to be doing it.
Do you worry about the loss of institutional knowledge and some of the replacements that are coming in? I think about the next big Feeding Our Future case that lost, the top 3 prosecutors from the prior cases. They have a trial coming up in April.
Well, I think our prosecutors in the Feeding Our Future cases that have been working on it for the last 4 years might disagree with regard to who is the top 3 and who wasn't the top 3. We have an enormous amount of institutional knowledge here in the office that all continues. As I've told you, look, there was, in a period of 8 months, there were 17 losses. In a period since October 10th, there's been 11 losses. We are picking back up. I think if you go back and you look over in history, there are times when there's greater losses and when there are lesser losses. We deal with it. We keep our head down. We charge forward. Is there some loss in some institutional loss in knowledge? There's always institutional loss in knowledge in government, and then you pick it back up, and the teams keep handing off the batons, and they carry them forward. This team is a very, very effective team, and the fraud prosecutors that we have are people who are going to put a lot of people in prison. I think we're all done now. I appreciate the questions, but I think we're done now.